Welcome to the webinar, A Job Seeker's Guide to Managing a Career. My name is Yuen Tran, and today we're going to talk about what it's like to go through the steps to creating a career plan for yourself. This is especially useful if you're thinking about changing into a different industry now that the pandemic has really changed the job market. We'll go over the tools and resources that you can use to help create that plan for yourself to be successful in your career moving forward. When building a foundation to manage your career, you want to know what is the job market and economy you're working with. Now that looks different, especially as we continue adjusting to living with and working in a world with COVID. Many of the jobs that used to be successful, like within the hospitality industry, may not be as readily available anymore until the pandemic is more controlled, so there's a shift in the types of jobs that are available. Even the way companies do business is different because of the ongoing social distancing practices. Office structures and organizational culture is changing as well, with less people coming into a physical office and more interaction taking place through a screen virtually than in person. So with all of these changes that's occurring, it really impacts what employers are expecting now in an employee. Now is really the time to research, look at the job trends, figure out if the career you're in or was in sustainable moving forward in this economy, or do you need to reevaluate and transition into something new? What can be helpful is having a career plan and continuing goals to keep up with the changes when you find yourself in a situation where you lost your job and you want to continue to find work. Changes in the job market could look like a few different things. One is there is a need for more education, job training, certifications, credentials, and vocational skills training. About 30 years ago, you could earn a high school diploma, and that was really all that was required for you to get a job. A change could also mean you would need to expand how you're searching for the jobs and making sure you're utilizing all the resources, including job search engines like Indeed and Glassdoor, social platforms like LinkedIn, and looking at all your connections that you have, so your friends, family, and colleagues. And lastly, you're really competing for job positions with a lot more people from statewide, nationwide, and even global. So the more you can showcase your skills and qualifications, the better chance you have of finding the right job for you. This is the career planning model that we'll go through today to help you start a career, transition into a new career, and how all to manage it. When you're thinking about taking control of your career, you learn to really know what your skills and interests are and how you can use them to your advantage in the jobs that you do. You become less rigid and flow with the changes that occur with your career, and you're more open-minded to learning through education, whether that be pursuing a degree or getting skills training through a certification, volunteering, internships, or vocational schooling. Step one is assess yourself. Assessments can help you discover your strengths and your talents. They allow you to spend more time thinking about yourself and to make more informed decisions, especially when looking for a new job. This is really important because understanding yourself will help you find a more satisfying job and a better long-term career. Assessments can help you make better educational and career decisions so you don't rush into putting money and time towards something that may not be helpful or beneficial for you and your family in the long term. It also helps you present yourself better to employers because you get a better idea of your sense of self and what you have to offer. That way, you can speak more confidently about yourself through your resume and during the job interview. And lastly, assessments can show employers how your interests, skills, and values fit the job and how it helps you to be better at your job. Here we have some free and paid assessment tools that you can try out. In the interest of time, I'll highlight two from each section. The first one I want to mention is the My Next Move Interest Profiler, which uses information from Own It Online sponsored by the Labor Department. It has questions you'll answer about your likes and dislikes, and then it matches those answers and gives you a list of careers that might be a good fit for you. It's also a good tool to search careers with keywords and browse careers by industry. The second one I want to mention is the Career One Stop Skills Matcher, which identifies your skills and matches them to careers that use those skills. What you do is you rate your levels on 40 key workplace skills, and it shows you what careers match the ratings that you chose. For the paid ones, if it's within your budget, the Myers-Briggs is a famous one people like to do. The test is meant to identify basic preferences for each type of personality, like introvert and extrovert, and describes 16 distinctive personality traits. And you can use this to know more about your strengths and weaknesses as a job seeker and as an employee. The second paid one I want to highlight is CareerScope, which measures your interests and skills as an aptitude test. It recommends careers you may enjoy and jobs in which you'll likely do well in, and courses and training programs that can help you go after those careers. If you're interested in any of these assessments, you can go online, talk with a career counselor at your school, community agency, or a career service specialist with the Virginia Career Works Center. You want to remember that you need to reassess yourself frequently. If you're thinking about finding a new job or going back to school, take another assessment. As time goes on, you're evolving, you're growing, we're all growing professionally and personally, so your interests and values may have changed if it's been a while and you want to make a change in your career, so you want to make sure to take that assessment. If you can't access any of the assessments that I mentioned earlier at this time, you can always create your own. In doing that, you want to think about the skills that you have. The first type are knowledge-based skills. These you learn through past experiences and education, like having a certain set of IT skills or how to manage a tire as a mechanic. Transferable or portable skills are things like management and being able to communicate with others. These are the skills you can bring to any job that you may have learned along your career path, and you can continue to develop these and use these skills. And number 3 are skills based on your personality traits. These are soft skills that you hear people mention that employers prefer over hard skills. These would be things that make you who you are, like the natural ability to lead others or being observational. Everyone has their different personalities, and they all come with positive qualities that you can apply to a job. When creating the assessment, it involves looking at the 3 P's of marketing: your previous experience, your portable skills, and your personality. What you can do is get a piece of paper, fold it 3 times so you have 3 columns, and label them with the 3 P's of marketing. In the first column, you want to start by thinking about all your previous experiences and listing out the skills that you gained. For example, if you worked in retail, you want to write down customer service. If you worked in an office setting, you can write down computer skills. Or if you worked in sales at a car dealership, you can put down marketing knowledge. Then, moving on to the second column, start thinking about how many of those jobs did you have that you gained portable skills that you can move into any type of career. The second column is where you'll start to see an overlap in the skills you wrote down in the first column. So here we have customer service as a portable skill. No matter what field you're in, whether healthcare, hospitality, or business, you'll need to exercise some knowledge of how to provide customer service. And then you could be thinking about the person that you are. Are you independent, a self-starter, a quick learner, creative? Once you're finished, you can see all the strengths that you have that you bring as an employee, and do research into the jobs that let you use the strengths that you have. For instance, from this chart, you can look for a job that really focuses on customer service, but also allows you the ability to be independent and flexible, since those are the two skills you identified as a strength. So, this is a really great way to brainstorm all the skills you possess, whether from past experiences or job specific skills, skills that can be transferred to any type of job, and what you offer to a new company in terms of your soft skills. That way, when you're going to do your job search, you know right away what you're offering and what you can see whether or not a job is a good fit for you. So, to review, in step one, we looked at going through the process of assessing yourself, whether you took a formal assessment or you did it by hand. Assuming that you've already done that, you now have an idea of what your skills, interests, work values, and what you're good at, what you like in terms of your work environment based on your personality. Now you're ready to explore different careers that help you find the right occupations. Step two is career exploration. Why should you explore careers? Well, researching and finding accurate information about work options helps you look for what are the realistic career options that you can pursue. It can help you understand what type of education or training is needed for that job. This is especially important if you're financially planning to do other things in life like buying a car, getting a house, or starting a family. You can also learn how and where to apply for specific jobs. Exploring careers also makes it easier to make networking contacts who can help you find a position that you may have not known about. And lastly, you can also discover trends in the job market that can affect your career planning. For example, you may have had plans to pursue working in the hospitality industry or entertainment industry. But now that we're learning to live with COVID, still following social distancing, and with more work emphasizing using computer skills for remote work, maybe you want to think about the IT field and what that would look like working in there, or the service delivery or healthcare. Those particular fields during the height of the pandemic were the most essential. So, when you're exploring potential careers, look at what is in demand now and what will be in demand in the future. You don't just want to pursue a career that you're passionate about, but pursue something that aligns with your skills and what will realistically provide you with a comfort of living. When you're doing your job research, you can use this chart here to help you keep track of the jobs you find and organize yourself to compare and contrast what job is best for you in your life situation right now. You can break down your search by jotting down the occupation title, a little description of the occupation, any education and training that's needed, any pros and cons you might want to consider, and you can even rank them so you can narrow down your job options. It helps when you've written it out on paper like this. It makes the thoughts you have in your planning process more realistic, and it helps you visualize what you can do with what you have in terms of your skills, experience, and money, what you want to pursue, and what you need to do in order to be in the career that you want to be in. So, where should you begin in your research? The one website that I always recommend for people to start with is Onet Online. This is an excellent website for looking up different industries, different jobs, gives you the outlook of that job, and it tells you about the credentials that you need to be successful in that job. Depending on the area that you live in, it gives you salary information as well. It's a great resource if you know your interest is in, for instance, engineering, but you don't know what jobs apply to that industry. There's a search bar on the homepage where you can input the name of the industry, and it will give you tons of job titles and give you all the skills employers are looking for with that job. It also has a nice feature where you can search for open positions based on your state and zip code for a particular job title. The second one I want to mention is using your local workforce centers can really be helpful in working with a career coach one-on-one. At the Virginia Career Work Center, you can work with a career service specialist to learn more about job searching techniques and also training programs for youth, adults, those with disabilities, and veterans. Career One Stop is also sponsored by the Labor Department, and it gives you interactive tools to use as a job seeker, as a student, or as a business. You can get access to a ton of career and job option information, creating a resume, locating training resources, information on financial aid, and assistance with education decisions. America's Career InfoNet gives national, state, and local career information and labor market data, career reports, and just a ton of interactive web-based tools. And lastly, there is the Economic Development Administration and the Small Business Administration, which work hand in hand to help communities start their own businesses by providing information and financial assistance. So there are many more online places that you can get information about the types of occupations that you can and should pursue. But here is just a list that's really a great place to start in navigating what is out there if you don't know where to start. After you've assessed yourself and explored some careers, the important part of this whole process is having a plan and setting goals. The last thing you want to do is go into expanding your skills, getting education and training without having a plan and setting goals on what you want to do immediately and in the future. Step 3 is create a plan and set goals. Once you've looked at the assessments you've taken and looked at the potential career options that you have, you want to start by thinking about how are you going to actually get to the career that you picked for yourself. You can find that out by creating a career development plan, which allows you to review where you are in your career, think about where you want to be, and set the goals and tangible steps that you need to take to get to where you want to be in the short term and in the long term. Now, goals are things you want to accomplish or change in your life. These will be your guidelines that leads you to action steps and helps you measure your progress. They can be educational goals like wanting to pursue a 4-year degree to be in a certain field of work, or career and employment goals like working full-time for a specific industry. Reaching your goal will definitely take effort and organization, which is why you need to take time to plan out the steps you need to take. Think about short-term goals. What can you do in the next 6 months to a year? And long-term goals. What can you do in the next 5 years? You may have heard of the acronym SMART when talking about goal setting. Your goal should be specific, meaning it states exactly what's expected of you. It answers questions like what will be accomplished, why is it important, who is involved, and where is it going to happen. The goal should be also measurable. It gives you the evidence you need to prove that you're making progress. It answers questions like how much, how many, how will I know when it's accomplished. It should also be attainable, so it's a goal that's within your capacity to finish given your current knowledge, skills, abilities, and resources. It's also results-oriented, meaning you know the action steps will result in making progress toward your short-term and longer-term career objective. And lastly, your goal should be timely. It has a target date or a specific time frame. Here are 2 examples of what a SMART goal might look like. The first one is obtain a job as a high school math teacher within 3 months after graduating with my Bachelor's of Science in Education. So this one combines the short-term educational goal of getting the degree in education and the long-term employment goal of being a math teacher. The second example reads, obtain a full-time job with benefits as a sous chef at a local restaurant in the next 2 years so that I can support my family. This one specifically is talking about the longer-term employment goal to pursue a career path as a chef in a restaurant. So as you can see, your SMART goal can be about educational goals that can help you pursue your career, or about specifically what you want to do to pursue your career or employment goals. Why create a career plan? For different people, there will be different reasons. Maybe you're in a job right now and something doesn't feel right. Maybe you've been in the position for a long time and you're wondering, am I in the right role? Maybe you're in a job where you've outgrown the position based on the compensation and you can't see where you could be making more money. You have a desire to learn a new skill and you're asking yourself, am I ready for a new challenge? Or you're feeling stuck. You love what you do, but you can't see any more opportunities to grow. The good news is you can change your career and life anytime. Of course, you have to be mindful of if you're financially able and your life situation is able to support your career change. Changes like this can come with a lot of commitment, dedication, financial burden, and a need for outside support. But if you have all of that in place and you've planned for it, you can really do it. And it all happens with planning and setting those goals and that you stick to those goals. To start your plan, write down what you do. If you're not working right now, think about the last place you worked at. Start by thinking about what does your day-to-day task look like? Of course, our job title and resume only say so much about what we do, and I think many of us can relate that we do way more than our actual job title says. So spend some time thinking about what you actually do. Start with the core responsibilities of your position, the things you do every day. Then write down everything else you spend your time doing, even if it sort of diverges away from your actual job duties. You can do this by keeping a work diary of your successes, failures, and activities, or you can do a weekly review of what you've done and what you want to accomplish for the next week. When you're done making a list of your duties, sort the list into things you absolutely hate doing, things you don't mind doing, and things you love and wish you could do more often. And in thinking about the things that you love to do on the job, maybe out of that you can find a career that gives you a chance to do more of what you love and be paid for it. Now, you want to be thinking about long term, and these are some of the questions you can start thinking about answering so you have a better idea of what to pick for your plan. Ask yourself, what am I best at doing, both personally and professionally? What am I terrible at? Do I want to stay in this job or this field? If I want to change jobs, do I want to be promoted into a similar job or a more senior role or completely change jobs? And that's where the research part really comes into play. Maybe you're just looking to grow within the company and not leave it altogether. If you want to change jobs, would you rather manage people or would you prefer to work on your own? And moving up within a company doesn't necessarily mean you have to manage people. It just all really depends on the career path you want to take. You can also ask yourself, if I want to change industries, what field am I interested in? What is it about the industry that excites me? Has it always interested me? Maybe you're someone who's always wanted to work for yourself, to start a business. So you want to be thinking about the pros and cons of what that might look like as well. Now, taking that next step means starting with reviewing what you've written down and look to see if the goals you have are too big. Sometimes the process may feel overwhelming, like you're doing the research and you see that you need to go back to school. You have to get this credential and it costs this amount of money and you have to complete some courses beforehand. What you want to do is work on your small short-term goals first. The goal could be in the next 6 months, you're working to provide for yourself, and on the side, you're enrolled in and studying to get those courses finished before you actually can get the credential. And on top of that, you can maybe save about $50 toward the amount to pay for the credential. So if you break it down into parts that you can do, it becomes less overwhelming than if you're looking at the bigger picture. If the goal is too big, break it down into smaller steps. When you're pursuing your goals, you also want to commit to a time frame. Think about, what do I want to achieve within the next 6, 12, 18 months? How and when will I achieve my training and education goals? How and when will I gain the additional skills and experience I need? How can I expand my network, and by when? Success really does come from doing the right things consistently and doing them well. So, do the smart goal setting like we talked about earlier. And ultimately, you need to take that first step, which seems especially hard at times. But if you want your career plan to be more than just a piece of paper, you really just got to give yourself that push to start. As I mentioned earlier, finding a supporter can really help you keep yourself on track and accountable. Working with a mentor, a career coach, having someone to cheer you on, offer constructive opinions. One thing that can be helpful in overcoming your hesitation to start pursuing your goals is to share your goals and all the things you're planning to do to change your career, not only with your loved ones, but friends and coworkers as well. Putting it out there can give you that positive pressure and push you in the right direction to actually start. When you look for your support system, make sure to tap into all your resources. Talk with your human resource representative. Sometimes we think HR people are only there for us when there's a work related issue, but they can be people you go to talk about options for growth within the organization or moving to a different department before you move up within the organization. Look on different job sites to expand your chances of finding opportunities. Examples are Indeed, Glassdoor, Ona Online, LinkedIn, and America's Job Exchange. Talk with people about their career. You might be surprised at what your coworkers in a different department work in, friends, family, what they're doing, and it might give you insight into what's available internally within an organization that isn't necessarily advertised. And lastly, take a career assessment test, visit your local library, or utilize the virtual or in person career services at the Virginia CareerWorks Center to get more information about job leads. To review, when you're starting to think about your career and making changes, you'll want to first assess yourself. Then, once you have an idea of who you are, you'll want to put your research skills into play by exploring those careers. As we talked about already, there are tons of online resources that you can use to start your research. You don't have to spend hours each day by doing this, just maybe an hour a day consistently. It will help you get to your next step a lot quicker, which is creating that plan for yourself and setting those goals for you to achieve. So, step 4 would be to expand your skills. Maybe in researching and planning, you found that you're lacking a skill that employers are looking for. You want to think about, are there any skills I need to gain? And what kind of skills should I expand to become a more competitive candidate? Expanding your skills can be helpful because employers like to hire people with skills that match their job needs. Many employers do offer on the job training, but the more skills you can bring to the table, the less time they'll have to take training you, and you can spend more time working on your actual role in the job. Employers also keep and promote people who are serious about expanding their skills. If you're currently employed, look into taking some trainings and courses that are offered for free as an employee. Not only will you gain new skills that you can take with you to another company if you want to leave, but if you want to get promoted or move into a different department, it'll let your supervisors see that you are taking initiative to become better, and you'll gain better support from your employer. Many competitive jobs require training such as a degree or a certification. Now, although the degree is important, like checking a box off for the basic requirements, certifications have become more popular and desirable in an employee. Having that tangible certification and credential to show that you went above and beyond the job duties to build your resume, and you can do more than the average person with just a degree. And looking into expanding your skills will give you a better chance of finding a new job if your job does end. especially now if you did lose your job with the pandemic. You can take more time now to look into what kind of skills are really desirable and needed. And if you are already expanding your skills by getting a certification from your previous job, like a CPR certification or a computer programming certification, you'll really have that upper hand over someone who may only have that work experience but no certification. When thinking about expanding your skills, you want to look into the future. Think about long term, what type of field of work and skills are going to be demanded and do they align with your career plan? If you think about it, with the pandemic, all of our virtual technology is more important than ever. Information technology in all fields is moving faster now that many employers are still offering work from home options. So maybe think about what is the virtual world going to be looking like and what kind of credential or certifications are out there that you can get a head start on. The best way to do this is to browse the internet. Research the industry that you're interested in and see what certifications are required for that field of work. Look into specific industries. Research an industry or company that you've always wanted to work in. And if you see one that you like, think about what are the goals of that company. Look at their mission, vision, and values and see where they're going in the future. And ask yourself, where do you fit in with that company and that future? And what will you need to do to get there? One of the best ways to expand your skills is through education and certifications. Make sure that your education connects with the occupation and it actually fits in with your interests and your skills that you have already now. That's where the research part is really important. Here on the screen, there's a table that you can use to help you organize the information as you go along in your research process. You can type down the occupation name, the type of education certification, the length of training, the cost of the training, and the requirements to enroll. That way you can see which ones are the best options for you. And finally, the last step would be to start looking for and finding that job. Of course, with the pandemic, the job market has been a little tough, but things are becoming more normal now, and there will be more of a demand for more workers as new types of positions will open up to adjust to living with the pandemic. So now is really the time for you to use to understand the strategies that you need to find that job. You want to organize your job search so that you can be successful once the job market brings more job opportunities and apply to what you've learned in your assessments and your career explorations to figure out what you want to do and how you want to get there. When you think about finding a job, you want to be thinking about the job search strategies. This includes researching employers to know more about the company and not only to know who you'll be working for, but in the case you're asked questions about the company in the interview. You want to be thinking about networking, and LinkedIn can be a really great tool to network with recruiters and job developers for organizations that you want to work for. Look into searching for resume and cover letter guidance, like how to format one and what to include in each type of document. Think about what you might need for the job application. Some employers may require only the job application. Some may need extra documents as attachments like educational transcript, letters of recommendation, work visa verification. You also want to know about the hiring process and what that consists of. This includes how the hiring will take place. Maybe you'll need to go through a phone interview, a one-on-one interview, and then a panel interview before actually being hired. Or you might only need to go to one interview before hearing back with the hiring decision from the employer. And lastly, it's really important to know the interview process and the different techniques that will help you to become successful in the interview. In terms of effective job searching, that can mean a wide variety of things that you could do. You can attend events like in-person or virtual job fairs and hiring events. You want to also make sure to stay current on what's offered in terms of available jobs. So that means consistently visiting job search databases to see what types of jobs were posted that day and apply early. Once you apply to a company, make sure to follow up with them. It's recommended to wait at least 2 weeks before reaching out to the human resource specialist or hiring manager. This gives the impression that you're willing to go the extra mile to connect with them and be employed. Even if you found a company that doesn't have any open positions right now, but you know you want to work there, making that connection will help them remember you for the next time. Track your progress to help keep yourself organized on job application deadlines and things you might need to submit. Be persistent and don't just apply to one amazing job and think that's enough to land that job. You want to apply to as many positions as possible until you actually get an offer letter. Network with people in your community, so that means your colleagues, friends, and your family. Access social media like LinkedIn and even places like Craigslist, Twitter, and Facebook. Review local job boards within your community, contacting job developers or recruiters, and then lastly, visiting employment centers either through their virtual or in-person appointment sessions to really help yourself explore your work options and your training options. And lastly, we wanted to wrap up this webinar by giving you some more additional resources that you can access online. The first one is Mapping Your Future, where you can find information on exploring careers, college preparation, paying for college, and money management. The second one is the Virginia CareerWorks website, where you can find more information on all of our employment and training programs and services. The third one here, Allison.com, provides free online training and learning on different courses and topics like technology, language, science, health, business, and math. The fourth one, LinkedIn, is a great resource to not only job search, but to network with people and organizations. What you do is you make a professional profile and you're able to look at the company website, share articles, and posts from organizations, and stay up to date with certain industries and organizations you want to work for. And lastly, My Skills, My Future can help those who have been laid off and other career changers explore new careers that may use the skills and experiences gained in previous jobs. Thank you everyone for watching our webinar today. If you have any questions about other services of the center, you can visit our Fairfax County page here on the screen. There you can sign up for our email listserv to get updates on webinars, job fairs, hiring events, and weekly job leads. You can go to our employment readiness resources page for examples of resume, cover letter, and information on trainings, and a lot more. So we highly encourage everyone to check out our website. Thank you again for joining our webinar. This webinar was produced by the Virginia CareerWorks Fairfax Centers, operated by Fairfax County Department of Family Services, Public Assistance, and Employment Services.